The Wetlands Institute was founded in 1969 in Stone Harbor, New Jersey, by then the executive director of the World Wildlife Foundation, a gentleman named Herbert Mills. For several years before that, he'd been looking at the land out here, all of the salt marshes that you can see, and recognizing this need to be protected, so he arranged for the purchase of 6,000 acres. That property became the Wetlands Institute. And since that time, there's been about another 22,000 acres protected in this area between what the state's protected and some of the wildlife refuge protections. The Wetlands Institute focuses on three main areas: research, conservation, and education. And it's all centered around the salt marsh habitat here, the creatures that inhabit it, and connecting people with nature and with the animals and the plants and the ecosystem that's around us. So some of the things that we do, we have programs that introduce kids to the diamondback terrapins, to horseshoe crabs. They have animal encounters. We have an aquarium and teaching and touch tank so that kids can get up close with some of the native wildlife that's just off the coast here in South Jersey. We have education programs that will bring the kids out to our boat dock. They can drag seine nets through the water, see what comes up, learn about the creatures that are in the creeks and in the salt marshes around here. We have a variety of different research programs. Most of them are centered around the birds, the terrapins, and the horseshoe crabs. And we also have research programs that center around the health of the salt marsh itself. So we monitor the water quality and what we can do to protect the salt marsh from things like climate change and sea level rise. Diamondback terrapins are specifically an East Coast species, and they only live in brackish water. So brackish water is a mix of salt and fresh. This environment is critical to their survival. So it's a unique organism in a very specific environment. Every year, from May through August, female diamondback terrapins have to come out of the marsh, find high ground, dig nests, lay their eggs, and then go back into the marsh. High ground here is Stone Harbor Boulevard, but unfortunately there are many terrapins a year that are road-killed. If we can get to them soon enough, we can actually take the eggs out of the road-killed female, we incubate them here in our research facility, and then hatch them. We send them out to classrooms, and we send them to places like Stockton University, where these terrapins are raised for a full year, and then after a year of growth, they come back here, and we release them back into the salt marsh. The Institute does a lot of work with a variety of species of birds. The ones that you're seeing over my shoulder, these are purple martins. They're the largest swallow in North America, and they are a cavity nesting bird. In the past, they would nest in old woodpecker holes or things like that, but they take to these gourds really, really well. And you can see these all up and down the coast. So what we're doing here with the martins is we're providing them homes, and we're keeping track of their numbers and seeing how they breed and things like that. The other species of bird that you can see is there are these platforms out on the salt marsh. These are for the ospreys. Ospreys are one of the largest birds of prey in our area. They're unique in that their diet is almost entirely fish. The osprey was one of the birds that was really affected by DDT back in the 1960s and 70s. The platforms really helped encourage ospreys to come back and nest. There were no ospreys nesting in New Jersey for quite some time. The platforms provide them a lot of habitat that was otherwise not available to them. The salt marsh is a critical environment, not just for the species that rely on this, but salt marshes are like giant sponges, and they protect all the communities behind the salt marsh from storm surge and flooding. These coastal communities get a lot of benefit from the protection from storms that they provide.
Hi, I'm Shirley.
And I'm Regina Mitchell. For more videos like this, subscribe to WHYY.